Hello, I'm Cerberus Dark One, and this is What's on eShop for March. Let's get straight into the new releases with some low price games. Starting with Guns of Fury, a retro inspired run and gun platformer with a Metroidvania twist. 13% off until the 5th. It actually looks like a really fun time. Now with 10% off until the 7th. What is described as the first bedtime Vania, a platformer with 100 plus rooms of challenging puzzles, where a little vampire needs to put out every light before going to bed at daybreak. This has a great animation style. While the visual style of Maron's Day is very Game Boy, I'm not too familiar with Game Boy, but there's a bit of a Pokemon vibe in visuals. Also on sale until the 5th, a pocket-sized adventure where you help the townsfolk prepare for a festival. Anti-Paint is an action-packed roguelite shooter where you battle famous works of art. Create a battlefield canvas masterpiece on your quest to become the greatest artist in the world. It's like a top-down Splatoon. Another roguelite shooter that people are getting addicted to. 10% off, Star of Providence. This comes from the same publisher as Animal Well. They seem to be picking some good indie games to release, and doing well with them. Now let's move up to some mid-price games, which have mostly caught my eye this month. A retro-style visual novel, Stories from Sol. There's a demo available. Its pixel art is really great. Use point-and-click navigation to move around the security patrol ship, Gundog, what a name, as you're tasked with investigating mysterious signals from the edge of space. Another mystery pixel art game, the Urban Myth Dissolution Center, where you play a detective following leads to unravel the truth behind dangerous urban myths. A creepy tale of Cabernet, 10% off until the 6th. Pulled into vampirism, you play a young woman who walks the line between the human world and a society of vampires. Can you retain your humanity, or will you embrace your newfound form? It's actually a really intriguing game. Lara Croft is back with some more remastered classics. This time it's 4 to 6. The Last Revelation, Chronicles, and Angel of Darkness. I think the previous 1 to 3 remasters were well received. I'd quite like to try these, so it's on my list. But there's also a 1 to 6 mega bundle available as well, which is probably the one I'll end up getting. Psychedelic Metroidvania, Ultros. With a crazy colourful art style by the same artists that worked on Hotline Miami, stranded on a giant spaceship holding an ancient demon, which is trapped in an eternal loop around a black hole. Experience intense close-quarter combat against cosmic lifeforms as you attempt to break free. This is a weird one. Interesting, but weird. Tiny Terry's Turbo Trip. Explore a tiny open world at your own pace and become the talk of the town as you dig holes, destroy cars, become rich, and wear hats. I've heard this described as a tiny Grand Theft Auto, but more wholesome. It looks pretty funny. As does Big Helmet Heroes, a 3D beat-em-up with 29 heroes using 4 combat styles, each with a unique superpower. Play solo or co-op against hordes of goblins and formidable bosses. I'm not alone in saying this, but it is kind of like a 3D version of Castle Crashers. Castle Crashers? Castle Crashers? Anyway, here's the top 3 new releases for March. Flipping into third, it's House Mansion. New at 2, Lara Croft 4 to 6 Remastered. and a strong top spot for Hello Kitty. This released right at the end of last month. It's basically a Hello Kitty version of Animal Crossing, and there are a lot of fans of that type of game. I wouldn't be surprised if we get an early release of a new Animal Crossing game for the Switch too, within the first year maybe. However, let's end with my top pick for the month, which was a complete surprise for me. I hadn't heard anything about this until now. It's the N64 classic, Glover. I've played this back as a little kid, and actually I haven't played it since. But I remember it being quite innovative for the N64. You play as a magician's glove who has to transport a magical ball through a 3D level, which becomes a weapon, an ability, and something you need to protect all in one. I thought about going back to play this game, and now we have this remaster, of sorts. I guess that means it's not coming to the Nintendo Online subscription. Also, in other news, they've scrapped gold points for My Nintendo. March 25th is the end date to earn them, which will then be valid for 12 months. So if you've got something on your wish list, it's a good idea to get it now. They must be thinking of replacing it with something else, right? Maybe for the launch of the Switch 2? Anyway, that's it for this month's What's on eShop. I might delay next month's a little bit, so I can include the Switch 2 Direct from the 2nd of April. See you then!